the audio race.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's just start dropping. He's not on second and
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Thursday night's The Radical Race Series, Round 9, Season 3 from Road America. I'm James Parfitt. I'm going to be joined in the booth, not by Nico this week. I'm joined by Tom Cairns, who's going to join us once again for this epic evening of racing. We have got ahead of us 6.41 kilometers practice times, around about 1:58. Led by Paul LeMay there. We've got no Simon Edwards here this week. Let's bring you up to date with the current standings positions. And as you can see at the top there, it is James Barry and Simon Edwards are actually tied on points. Not too sure why it's done it that way, but there we go. 248 points each, with Luke Maxwell on 217 and George Gonzaga in fourth on 186, with Mike Bousson in fifth on 180, Paul Clark on 176 and John McCutcheon on 164, with Jamie Bird on 164. Damien G behind that in ninth, and Phil Glover, Michael LeMay, Seth Brown, David Beasley, Graham Brown, Paul Crabb, Paul LeMay, Martina Ward, and then the guys who haven't really done much of the racing this season: Joseph Emmett, Colin Wynn, who's here again this evening, Robert Woodward, Phil Jocelyn, and David Rolliston. Last time out for round 8 at Monza, it was James Barry taking the win in race 1, with Luke Maxwell in second and Simon Edwards in third. And then in the feature, it was the other way round. Simon Edwards took the win, separated by Paul LeMay this time, with James Barry there in third place. But it is round 9. We are at Round America, and it's 7-lap sprint and a 12-lap feature. Okay, so we've got a 7-lap sprint and a 12-lap feature that these guys are going to be doing here. We've got a minute left of practice before we go into qualifying. We've got enough time to talk to Tom very, very shortly. Phil, welcome in, buddy. How are you? Hope you are fabulous. But Tom, welcome into the booth for the first time. How are you?
Thank you very much, James. And of course, this is something totally different to what I've been commentating on alongside you. Yes, these are the Radicals racing around Road America, situated outside, well, near Lake Elkhart, or the Elkhart Lake, however you want to call it, in Wisconsin in the USA. It's a brilliant racetrack. The fans love it with the cars racing here, whether it be IndyCar or NASCAR, or if it's just any form of iRacing event being held. And of course, these Radicals are very well suited to this 6-kilometer circuit. Very fast indeed with those long straights, and I'm sure they'll be looking forward to some cracking racing during the course of the next hour and a half. We've got a qualifying session coming up, which will determine what I believe will be for the feature race, unless I'm mistaken with that.
Yep.
It's the other way around, is it? Okay,
no,
so
grid
yeah.
will be set for the feature, and then we'll have a for race 1, sorry, and then a 10-lap reverse grid for the feature. So that will be what will take place here this evening as well. So a 10 place reverse grid, so basically near enough a full reverse here of this grid ready for the feature race. They have just entered into qualifying, and we'll see how they get on once again. And these guys are driving about, but it's going to be very interesting. Now, we've come to Road America, and I've been in multiple times in the cars and obviously in the Radicals before. You know, nearly 2-minute lap times, 1:58, 1:59 is 2 minutes, are generally the bog standard times for this sort of car around this circuit. Now, overtaking Where do we think then we're going to see the overtaking? Is it going to be into turn 1 from that long straightaway? Is it going to be into turn 5 when they start going down the marine sweep where they're going now, Tom? What do you think is going to be their best opportunity?
Well, the best opportunities, as you rightly mentioned, but I was also thinking towards where Canada Corner is of turn 12, as it's stated on the map that we've got here. There's plenty of choices as to where you can get the overtakes done. If you get a good exit out of turn 8, you may be able to sweep round the outside or something like that through carousel. And it's that drag race to the line as you go towards turn number 1. So there's definitely plenty of chances to get the overtakes done. It just depends on where your mindset is at. As you can just see, the number 24 almost having a moment there. That'll be Paul Clark, just gathering it all up before going through carousel, no problem.
Yeah.
And yeah. So, you know, with qualifying as it is, the driver's done a lot of practice, a lot of mileage during the course of the last couple of hours. So I would expect to see some very fast lap times in the first or second laps that they do, because the tyres will start falling away, which should set the sprint race grid for a little bit later on.
Yeah, exactly. I think generally the first lap is the out lap, second lap's warming up, third lap is a go lap. But we'll see if many people get some bankers in. I think this circuit lends itself well to this car. It's great having the Moving Matters Colin Wynn machine back on. I do have to give the boss lady herself, Miss Martina Ward, the real life racing MX-5 driver, has taken time out of her busy schedule to come and join us on the racetrack as well here as well. And she picked a fine race circuit to come back on. Now the guys have been warned to leave gaps between each other during quali, okay? So they have been warned they've got to leave a little bit of a gap between each other on qualifying to obviously outweigh the draft, because they appreciate the draft is very strong here. We've got the 38 machine, that's David Beasley just going past Martina Wall, coming down into turn 1 here. An update on round 12. Now round 12 has been to be confirmed for a while for the final round of the season. Now we know we go to Phillip Island at Sebring beforehand, but round 12 is always picked by the champion normally, and last season's champion James Barry, he's picked 3 tracks that have gone to vote at the moment. So we're waiting for the final confirmation, but it is Jerez, the Moto Circuit, Magna Core, and also the Hungaro Ring. And at the moment, I can tell you the Hungaro Ring is winning. So it's likely and possible that turn 12 could be the Hungaro Ring. Again, another race circuit, I think, Tom, that lends itself to, well, it's like an enigma. It can either be one great race, or it could be one mere race with Hungaro Ring. I think that's what I found since broadcasting the races there. It's a very up and down race circuit. It really does depend what you get. It doesn't seem to really matter what cars you have either. It depends on the race in there. It can be very liney and follow each other. But we will see and see what goes on and see which one wins the vote. Road America on the other end, completely different to the Hungaro Ring. It's got, you know, a lot to it, a lot of undulation, a lot of upwards and downs, fast right-handers as we've just gone through now, through the kink, coming down into Canada Corner. We got that long straightaway. There's a lot to this race circuit, and I think these guys are going to have to try and really concentrate on getting their cars right, as Martina Ward just gets it all wrong in qualifying.
Yeah, so just going too deep there does Martina Ward, but we'll get it back on the circuit, no problem. We know that was going to be the best lap that she was going to produce, so hopefully they'll carry on as normal. And yeah, so you need to get some clear chat. Obviously the rules have stated that anyone given a bump draft will face some form of punishment. It does give you a huge advantage down those straights, well, up the straight, the start from the straight that Ward is going through now, and down the straight through the Morian sweep. So the drivers have been told not to give cars behind. We're probably going to see a little bit of an advantage, even though if it's not intentional, that drivers ahead are giving those behind a draft, because it's kind of inevitable you're going to see it anyway. But if it's deliberate in regards to if a driver's giving all the draft to the driver behind, then they may just pull out of the way just before the corner, just so that they don't get in their way. That's pretty obvious, because they know that what the plan actually is. But if they're just doing a lap of their own, a fast lap, then it's not so obvious. So that's what the drivers have been warned about. prior to this evening.
Yeah, definitely, and I think we're going to keep an eye on Paul LeMay here. He's got purples across the board. This could be the pole lap from Paul LeMay if he can manage to hook up the last 2 sectors here. We have got a 6-sector racetrack, which, judging by iRacing standards, is a little bit weird, considering you can only really count 3, but we have got a 6-sector race circuit. So let's see what Paul LeMay does. He's green again in sectors 5, coming up over the line here. Paul LeMay, it's going to be close between him and Luke Maxwell. He's got the first 2 purple, Luke's got the next 2, LeMay's got the 3rd one at the moment. He's going to go top. What's he going to go top with? 159.043. Luke Maxwell pips him straight after on a 158.927. So them guys very, very close. Chase Barry's another one who's got greens on the board coming over the line as well. Paul Clark goes into 4th. Seth Brown goes into 6th place with his fastest time of the evening as well. What about James Barry? What are you going to do? Is you're going to come over the line now? Can we get a time on the board? He goes 3rd on a 159. Only one person breaking into the 158s at the moment.
James Barry getting a solid time on the board so far behind Maxwell and LeMay. Graham Brown 4th fastest on a 59.1. Just want to look to see who's the next driver to cross over the line. I think it may be Phil Glover who's going through the last turn. Jorge Gonzaga has gone to 6th fastest. Martina Ward getting a representative time on the board, but will need to go again. Phil Glover goes over the line. Where does this put him? I don't think it's actually an improvement, actually, is it? I think he's made a mistake on the lap. So this could be it, James, because they'll have run through those tyres. It's a long lap as well, 6 kilometres with about 15 corners or something like that around this Road America course. So, you know, they're just getting some mileage in now. This is the next few minutes are essentially a test session before the race begins. They won't want to stop racing now or stop sort of circulating around this racetrack. We're seeing Damien Gee posting a time of a 2-minute 1.3. I don't think he was involved in the practice session before qualifying, so he's got some work to do.
Yeah, he has at the moment, is Damien G on that one. So we'll see how he gets on. And then we got Phil Glover, who's just gone round, unfortunately. He did say he did like this race circuit. John McHutchison has just joined the session as well. Graham Brown has got some purples on the board. He's got sectors 3 and sectors 4 that are purple for him, Graham Brown. So this could be an improvement here. Fastest sectors times out of everybody. What's he going to do for the fine one? Is he going to move up? He is going to improve, but it's no movement in the positions. It's a 159.131. David Beasley is also in sectors 5 at the moment. He's going to turn 13B before he goes in through turn 14, the final one. We'll see what he's be able to do there. George Gonzaga is another one in 6th place. He's had a couple of greens and then a few yellows after that, but Damien G has also got 4 greens on the board, so they're going to come over the line thick and fast at this moment in time. We'll try and pick them up as each one crosses the line. David Beasley goes up into 8th. What about Mr. Gonzaga? Where does he put himself? Sees an improvement, but it's not an improvement forward. What about Damien G? He's come over the line. Martina Ward's come over the line. 2 minutes for both of them. Damien G last time out 2:01, fastest lap of the race for him, but not fast enough to move up any positions. Again, Paul LeMay has got greens on the board as well. It seems to be the battles between Paul and Luke here.
Yep. It's a dogfight for pole by the looks of it. You can see they're trying to find time in the sectors. You can just see a few greens in the likes of Graham Brown. Paul LeMay fastest in sector 1, but he's down in sectors 2 and 3. Paul Clark and Seth Brown have got greens in some sectors, but I'd imagine it's only slight improvements. The lap times are very close between the whole field as we know it. John Hutchison, the Scots, which we've seen in the past, racing in Clio's, if I remember correctly. He's yet to get a time on the board himself. So we'll look to see how he gets on. I don't know where Matt Hutchison is round the circuit, but
Bob?
Yeah, well, he's either way. He's yet to get a time on the board. I think he's on his outlap anyway. Is Matt Hutchison? He's halfway round the circuit. So he won't actually get time to get a lap time on the board, so he will start from the back for the sprint race, but no problem anyway, because I expect some wheel-to-wheel racing all the way through the field, and even if you are starting at the back, you can make your way through it.
Yeah, John McCutcheon there is on his way down past the kink at the moment. He's got some greens, but we have just seen him go off track, so it's not going to be an improvement. James Barry puts himself into fourth. What about George Gonzaga? What is he going to be able to do? He's come up to the line. He's got 3 greens, 2 yellows. Depending on what the offset is he going to jump enough? That's going to be the question. He needs 3 attempts to get ahead of Paul Clark here, does Mr. Gonzaga. 159.564. Damien G has got 2 greens, 3 greens even as he goes over the line. Is he going to bounce up? No, 201.276. And then John McCutcheon, but I'm expecting this not to possibly be a time, as I think he got an off track, and that is the end of qualifying. So we'll give it a minute to flick over into the race, and then we'll bring you up the grid. Here is the grid for race number 1. It will be Luke Maxwell on pole, Graham Brown alongside him in second. Great job there for Graham, with Paul LeMay in third. James Barry, last season's champion, in fourth. Paul Clark in fifth. George Gonzaga in sixth. Then Seth Brown, David Beasley, Martina Ward and Colin Wynn down in 10th. Then we've got Damien G and Phil Glover with John McCutcheon bringing up the rear. No time on the board for the Scot, and I expect him to start coming through the order very, very quickly. So we'll see how he gets on. But there is Graham Brown sitting in his second place at the moment. Luke, James, George, Martina, Damien and John have yet to get on the grid. Good evening, Mr. Wynn. Hope you are well. Good luck in the race, buddy. Done well, starting in 10th. You should be able to move yourself up here in a few positions. So good luck this evening. Luke has jumped onto the grid now as well. So he's done an amazing job. There is the SR10 currently that he is racing. You can see how fabulous these cars look. There is not a lot to them. They are very, very light, very, very powerful, and will literally break away into many, many pieces if you even remotely hit the wall or tap anything. These cars do not like it, and I can tell you now they don't like it. I've driven these cars myself, but the lights are on now, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the Radical Race Series Round 9 Season 3 for Road America is green, green, green. Graham Brown got an absolute storming start. Colin Wynn did not get a start. They're 3 wide further back. Phil Glover's there as well. Going into turn 1, Luke Maxwell's got the inside line. Graham Brown's on the outside. James Barry has moved himself up into second place now. Great start from James, with George Gonzaga in there as well. But it's going to be the first time down the Marine Sweep now. We're going to see the draft. How strong is it going to be? Well, let's keep an eye out on the 2 behind, because it is going to come from James Barry and Graham Brown. Who's going to have the draft here? We go on to the roll bar above their drivers' heads. Now James is going to look at taking the inside here. Is he going to be able to get the job done over Graham Brown down the Marine Sweep into turn 5 with just a little bit ahead? Graham's running side by side. James gets the job done, I believe, and that is it. James Barry moves himself up. Great start from some, bad start from others though. Colin Wynn didn't really go anywhere off the line.
No, and James Barry got a very solid start there to get alongside Graham Brown into turn number 1 before Brown was able to fight back, but Barry was always going to have the high ground at the end of the Morian Sweep. So brilliant start there from James Barry. But for Luke Maxwell, he's gone to an absolute flyer of a start, and one man on the move also is his Team Radline teammate John McCutcheon in 9th position from the very back of the field. Yeah, McCutcheon there as well, the Scotsman, the William Wallace of the SR10. We know this guy is an absolute machine when he gets in this car. Paul Clark takes a trip on the grass. He manages to keep the footing, keeps ahead of Paul LeMay, down 3 places. Did not have a good start coming down into Canada corner, or turn 12, depending on what you want to call it. Clark looks up the inside, big puff of smoke coming out in front. Now LeMay's locked into him. That is Graham Brown sitting in the kitty litter. We'll have a look back and see what Graham did. I can guarantee he's coming to turn 12 an absolute rapid rates of knots, not being able to get the car stopped for Graham Brown, and unfortunately into the kitty litter he goes. It's there as well. Seth Brown, Martina Ward, Paul LeMay, you see him in front, and that's not a good look whatsoever. But here we go. What's Martina going to be able to do? What's Seth going to be able to do? It's a bit of a draft train, as if we're talking about DRS here in Formula 1, Tom. We've kind of got that in the Radicals as well as they go into turn 1. Yeah, thanks to the shaped rear wings as well, playing a huge part in the bump drafting and slipstream down those straights. We expected that to be the case anyway. Hudson moving on to 8th as a result of Graham Brown going off track, and Luke Maxwell making it look so easy so far, but James Barry's only half a second behind, going through the Morian Sweep for the second time in this sprint race here at Road America. Just see a few switcheroos going on here. There is Paul Clark on the onside of LeMay there into turn 5, and that was a very clean overtake to see him move up into 4th position.
Yeah, Paul Clark gets himself done there as well. They did swap places 2 times before they get to this point, mind you, and Paul Clark there now sits in at 4th. LeMay's tucked in behind him. That's Paul LeMay. Seth Brown tucked in behind that as well. Through turn 8 they go. Clark makes a mistake. Now LeMay's going to get alongside. Sweeps around the outside at the carousel. Turn 9. LeMay makes his move. Clark now. Brown tucked in. Martina Ward behind that as well. The real life MX5 superstar of the Radical Race Series is there on the racetrack. She's sitting in 7th place at the moment. Colin Wynn is all the way down in 12th. He's tucked up currently behind David Beasley is Colin, so it'd be great to see if Colin could get himself moving in the forward direction. But Seth Brown not going anywhere this time with Paul Clark. We know Clark is traditionally, everybody knows it, such a tough person to overtake. But at the end of the day, these guys going around turn 14 now, the final turn on the racetrack, has basically for Seth Brown, he's got half the racetrack here as well, Tom. Surely he can use his half of the racetrack to make this move on Paul Clark.
Yeah, so we're on board with Seth Brown on the pit straight. He's looking to see if he can make any inroads on Paul Clark in front. He is in the slipstream, but so is Paul Clark, who is behind Paul LeMay, heading through turn number 1. So Seth Brown's going to have to just get a little bit closer so that he gets more of the effect of the slipstream before getting through Morian Sweep. We're right on board with John Hudson having a good start to this one, but wants to move higher up. Martina Ward up there in P7 in that purple liveried car, the MJ Racing that she is part of. So it's been a solid start from the drivers, no incidents whatsoever. We know Graham Brown went into the gravel trap, but he has continued, and there is Mick Hudson on the inside of O'Ward, and that is a splendid overtake, albeit he had to go a little bit off the circuit to make that overtake. Yeah,
Martina Ward there kind of resound to losing that place to McHutchison. There's no point fighting a guy who's been a double champion in this series. There's no point. If you aren't on the pace, he will drag you along and show you where the pace is. Hers the Scotsman. I've got the pleasure of meeting John and a few others in the league in real life. Phil Glover as well. I've met Phil, Paul Clark, I've met him, Luke Maxwell, and these guys have been absolutely amazing, to be honest. And saying that, I've also met George Gonzaga, Seth Brown. I've met pretty much most of these guys on the grid, and Mr. Colin Wynn as well, and they were so nice. It was absolutely unbelievable. But Paul Clark now tucked in behind Brown. Brown's going down through now, coming into Canada corner. He takes a defensive line. He squeezes Clark a little bit. Clark thinks about going for it and then backs out. Now coming up through 13A, the right-hander, then 13B will be the left-hander, and then turn 14 will be the final part of the circuit. Round the corner they go. Now it's all on Clark in that Dale Gordon-esque junior machine there as well. Loves his old NASCAR does Paul. Looking up behind him now, down that start-finish straight. Here we go. Paul Clark's going to look to the inside. Is he going to have the power to go through, or is he going to hit that wall of air he's going to find coming out of the draft? I think he's going to get the job done over Brown this time around. Now he's got clean air to start moving forward into LeMay, but poor old Brown has got McHutchison tucked in behind him, Tom.
Yeah, it was a textbook overtake there from Paul Clark. He was always going to get that done, given the fact that Seth Brown did not have the effect of the slipstream of Paul LeMay in front this time around. It was easier for Clark to completely overtake that time around, and now Hudson fancies a piece of the pie here. He may even take 2 in one go if he's lucky here. You can see Clark and Brown all locking up there. Hudson sees a gap, and he makes his way past Seth Brown on the inside, and that was probably the easiest overtake that McHudson's going to do all race.
Yeah, McHutchison there comes up after Brown made the mistake through turn 7. Now they're going into the left-hander of turn 8 here. Through they go through the corner. McCutcheon closing into Clark. Is going to be round the carousel. Clark's going to have to look out here because McCutcheon is not going to give him any time to rest for Mr. Clark. He will be looking back here at the car that is behind him. The orange SR10 from Team Labline. Closing in through the kick they go, now running down into Canada corner, the right-hander. Is McCutcheon going to be able to take it? Is he going to be able to do it? He's going to have the inside line. Clark gives him room. Is Clark going to go on a defensive? He's not. Through McCutcheon goes, and that's probably another straightforward overtake there from McCutcheon. The ball is normally a lot tougher than that. James Barry, Luke Maxwell, nose to tail, going down the long straightaway. Oh, Gonzaga's put it in the wall. Oh, George Gonzaga has put it in the wall. He went off at turn 14. He hit the grass and the curb on the outside. And unfortunately, round he goes. Cannot stop the car whatsoever there, Tom. And unfortunately for Gonzaga, well, he's all the way down the back of the order.
Yeah, what a shame. Well, we're about to watch a battle for the lead. In fact, there has been a change of leadership, James, as James Barry goes through on Luke Maxwell for the race lead. Yeah, so a lot has changed in the space of 15 or so seconds. But we've now got a new leader of James Barry. Paul LeMay up in third place with John Hutchison through into fourth now and chasing a podium finish in this sprint race.
Yeah, this ain't done. Down the marine sweep they go. James Barry out in front. He got it down into turn 1 over Maxwell, and I'm pretty sure Maxwell will probably have him back again at some point. Through turn 6 under the bridge they go. Now they got the right hander of turn 7. Then they're going to go into turn 8. You've got a short, sharp little bit of a sprint of a run down into turn 8 here, and a great job from these guys. There is Luke Maxwell through the carousel. We're going to go. That orange machine is going to get closer and closer. He's not at the moment. He's just got more and more, farther and further and further and further. But here he comes now down this straightaway. We're going to be going around the kink very, very shortly here for Luke Maxwell. How's he going to be able to handle James Barry? Well, we're going to find out very, very shortly. Can he make this? Can he get to the top of Barry? He can get onto the back end. It's going to be an old switcheroo or probably the long straightaway, and Lance Lukes wants to lift here because let's face it, does he really want to be in the lead going onto that front stretch?
Well, that's the £1 million question as they come onto the pit straight here as they exit the last corner now, and Maxwell needs a strong exit if he's to be within range of attacking James Barry into the first right-hander of the course. There's 2 laps to go. You can just see how massive an effect it is when you don't have the benefit of the bump draft. You can just see it lifted off there, did Maxwell. So he decided not to go for it there because he knew that Barry would fight back on the Morian sweep. So he's holding back for the time being. But we're looking at another battle between John Hutchison in 4th and Paul Clark in 5th. And Hutchison doing his best to maintain his position. Graham Brown, following his off on the first lap, is in 11th place and fighting it out with Glover and Wynn. So he's got his work cut out. The top 10 are reversed for the feature race later on. This could make a massive difference in that particular squabble. You can just see what looks like who we focusing on. Beasley. Yeah, he could play a part in this actually. We can see Wynn getting through on Glover into turn number 5. Is Graham Brown going to take advantage of the open door? The answer is no on this occasion. Yeah,
Ben Groves, welcome into YouTube chat there, buddy, as well. I bet this is a blast of knees. It is an absolute amazing car to be driving. I can tell you that now. If you've never driven it before, just be aware there's no auto blue, but it's anti-stall on these cars. You've got to get it below about 4,500 revs before you can change down, which is the only downside to this car. But the SR8, you can blip it whenever you want. But then again, I suppose you do chance blowing up the engine. Right, Maxwell, Barry, final run down through this long straightaway. They're coming down the right-hander at the moment, down into Canada corner, and then they're going to be going left for 13A here, and that's the first part, and 13B. Job done on the exit, coming into 14 now. Is this going to be Maxwell's chance, do we think here, Tom? Is it going to be this one? Because it's going to be the final lap for him.
Yeah, well, he's not even close enough to think about challenging into turn 1, so he needs to get into the draft for when they come through the Morian sweep and towards Canada corner. Canada corner could be where the overtake is done, so he he needs to play his cards right, does Luke Maxwell, as they head towards the first corner now, and as predicted, he does not go for it into there. How will he get on through the Morian sweep? We'll find out in about 10 seconds or so time. And Hudson and Clark still going at it for 4th place. The podium finishers seem to be very much sewn up. But what about this battle for the race lead? Well, if Barry and Maxwell come together, then that could change the podium finishes. As we could predict, but we're looking at Maxwell. Is he thinking of going for it into turn 5? The answer is no. He's waiting for Canada corner.
Yeah, he's going to have a try and run down through the kink and into Canada corner here. Either that, or he knows that if he's close enough going around turn 14, there is a great chance he may be able to get the draft up to the line. It is a long run up to the line, guys. Okay, so be aware there is still quite a while, and Maxwell has probably got 2 more opportunities, but he has to stay closer. Got to stay closer. He's got to be within about 1.5 attempts to try and make that draft work up that straightaway. He loses a bit of time around the carousel. He nailed it that time. Maxwell's going to close in here. This is going to be his moment, his one opportunity, his one moment on the race circuit, right the way down to 1.5, 1.4, 1.2, 1/10. We're below a 10th now for Luke Maxwell. He's going to pull out. Is he going to go around the outside of James Barry here? He's not. He didn't get his stopped. Is he going to try to cut back? No. Luke. One moment, one opportunity, one braking zone, and it's all gone to pop. He can get it down into the start-finish line. If he can get a good enough draft, he's not. He's going to be James Barry. He's going to take the victory here in race number 1. Barry's going to come over the line. It's going to be James Barry, your victor in race 1. Luke Maxwell in 2. Paul LeMay in 3. What about John McCutcheon? It is John McCutcheon. It is Seth Brown. It is Paul Clark. What about Damien G and Martina Ward? Does she manage to hang on here? Martina Ward, does she just about hold on? Colin wins, another one comes over the line in 9th. He's going to find himself on the front row for race number 2 with Graham Brown, Mr. Gonzaga, Phil Glover, David Beasley, all in that order. And you can safely say that is, if that's going to queue up what's coming in race number 2, well, I can tell you one thing. Don't go anywhere, because it's going to be amazing. But here are the results. James Barry is your winner with Luke Maxwell in 2nd and Paul LeMay in 3rd. John McCutcheon in 4th and Seth Brown in 5th, battling away with Paul Clark in 6th. Martina Ward, she finished in 7th place, and Damien G, Colin Wynn, Graham Brown are your top 10, so it's going to be Wynn Brown front row. George Gonzaga in 11th, Phil Glover and David Beasley. And as per normal, we've got probably just enough time here to have a chat to Mr. Phil Glover. How long do we have? We've got 1 minute 30. Let's bring Phil into the booth. Phil, we've got about 1 minute 30 till we can let you go out, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Are you guys okay?
I'm very well, mate. How was out there for race 1?
It was a bit challenging, but fun nevertheless. Yeah, a little bit of dicing going on.
Okay, and what am I expecting for race number 2 from Phil Glover?
Hopefully keep it on the black stuff, and yeah, that'll do me, I think.
Well, you've got the draft to make use of as well, Phil, so I'm looking forward to seeing how you get on that one. You're sitting just outside the top 10 in 12th. Should give you a great opportunity, shouldn't it? One place at a time, Phil.
Yeah. I mean, I got quite a good start on the race 1, didn't I? So if I get a decent start, we'll see how it goes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll look forward to seeing where you are as you're out on your little practice run at this moment in time as well, Phil. Well, good luck. You've got about 20 seconds remaining there, buddy. Have a good race too, and we'll chat to you after.
Yeah, sure will. Take care.
And you. As our resident conversationalist there, Mr. Phil Glover, so fair play to him. I wonder how Colin Wynn's going to get on being on the front row. Is Colin going to be shaking in his boots, or is he going to be sat there chilling out? I can tell you one thing, he doesn't get flustered easily, does Mr. Wynn. So as I can tell you from racing alongside him, I might add. So there we go. But let's get the grid up for race number 2. We have just about finished the race, finished the warm-up, and we are going to be going on to the grid very, very shortly. Here is the grid for race number 2. Graham Brown will be on pole alongside Colin Wynne. Then Damien G and Martina Ward, Paul Clark, Seth Brown, John McHutchison, Paul LeMay, Luke Maxwell, James Barry. Now they got the places just outside of that, of course. Gonzaga, Phil Glover and David Beasley. So we'll have to keep an eye out and see how these guys get on. I wonder how Graham's going to handle being at the front. Made a mistake last time out there as well, and unfortunately didn't recover. Tom, what do we think on race 2? Who, if you could pick, would win?
Well, judging by his pace throughout tonight, I would say that Graham Brown's got a good chance. But this is the thing with the reverse grid. If you've not had a good race, but have done enough to get to the front of the field as a result of the reverse grid format, you've always got a chance of winning. And you need to start pulling away from those who are going to be out of position.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're just waiting for Colin Wynne. Is he going to make it here? He's got about, well, he's still got about a minute to get on to the grid as Mr. Wynne. So let's see. Oh, the lights are on. He's not going to make it. Right, oh, Colin Wynne missed the start. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. Race 2 is green, 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 and Wynne's not even in the pit lane. He's nowhere to be seen here. Colin Wynne, that leaves Graham Brown a free run down into turn 1. Damien G's got a great start, so has Paul Clark. Martina Ward is unfortunately dropped down. He took 4, well, not dropped down, she's in exactly the place where she was, but she had a great opportunity with a big old open space in front of her. Whoa, James Barry's off. He's off and into the wall. What's going to happen with McHutchison and Ward? McHutchison does get through. What about Maxwell over Brown? Oh, big twitch there from Maxwell. Gonzaga's climbing in. We'll have a look back at James Barry very, very shortly. Luke Maxwell trying to get onto the back of Martina Ward, coming down into the moraine now. Into turn 5. Maxwell's going to be able to hold on to that position. Gonzaga's going to try and go out the inside. No room at the end. He clears Seth Brown. Damien G's just made a mistake and dropped down the order as well. But Graham Brown, Tom's got an absolute flyer. He did what he had to do and got away off the line.
Yep, and the fact that Colin Wynne wasn't playing a part here, I can say that Colin Wynne is in the race now. It's shown that he's 1 lap down, but I can say he's not a lap behind because we are on the first lap. We're hopefully to see the time pay. But we now see an overtake from, is that McHutchison on the inside of Paul Clark there into the carousel?
It is, yeah. John McHutchison there goes up the inside of Paul Clark. They're going to be running side by side through the kink. This doesn't normally work. Play nice. There we go. Paul Clark does take a little bit wider line. Martina Ward's in there. Maxwell's in there. Then we've got Gonzaga behind them. Brown. Then the Brown behind that is Glover, LeMay, G, Barry and Beasley. We'll have a look back at the Barry incident very shortly. Martina Ward's just gone round, unfortunately, there. She's gone all the way round and jump all the way down to the back of the order. Gonzaga, he's in a battle. He's going to be coming up to the back end of Luke Maxwell. Seth Brown has got Paul LeMay, Phil Glover, James Barry all coming back through at the same time. What did happen to Mr. Barry here? Did he get a little bit? Oh, he was nudged by Seth Brown. Yeah. Nudged by Seth Brown, and then obviously Martina Ward. Was there a touch on Martina Ward here?
No, the back end stepped out.
Yeah, unfortunately for Martina, so yeah, not good. But I can tell you one thing, Mr. Clark is coming back at Mr. McHutchison as these guys battling it out, and all the while that's happening, Graham Brown's done a bolt off down the road by 1.8 seconds.
Yeah, crucial gap at this point in the race, really. If he can just pull away more and more and more, he won't give McHutchison too much of the draft on the straights. Of course, Paul Clark is still in there as well, but wants to have a look out for, well, James Barry is coming through the field a little bit now, despite clouds in the wall on the exit of turn 1. He's in 9th place now, but how far has he got to go before he can even think about challenging the likes of Graham Brown, who is in need of a strong performance after a disappointing race 1.
Luke Maxwell there with Paul Clark. Oh, Luke! Oh, he got it all wrong. Gonzaga's gone round in sympathy as well. Oh, Luke Maxwell and Gonzaga both off the circuit at the same time. Luke goes in, pulls on the brakes. Luke hits the curb, starts squirreling. Gonzaga gets on the power too early, and he goes round as well, unfortunately. For Luke, not good, but McHutchison now edging away from Clark. Clark still staying there. Barry's now got Maxwell behind it, and that's not going to be an easy fight. And then James Barry's going to be under pressure, but Maxwell looks like his car's broke.
Yeah, his steering's gone on cross-side, James. There's no way he's going to be able to stop that car into the corner there. That'll beat him off into the pits.
Well, we'll see. Sure, getting that fast repair done and getting out, of course, but he's got to try and get it back at the moment as Maxwell. He's lost an absolute chunk of time. Into the pits he's going to go now is Luke. He's going to go in. Graham Brown sets the fastest lap at a 1:59.467. McHutchinson 2 minutes. 2 minutes for Clark as well. So he's half a second quicker. Clark's not giving up on Maxwell. Glover's not giving up on Brown. Can Phil grab a top 5 here? Well, it's going to be exciting because James Barry's got 1.7 behind and Damien G is in there fighting with him as well. And Damien G's coming into the Moraine sweep once again for turn 5, so this is going to be a very interesting run from them. But Paul Clark closing in on McHutchison, using the draft. Glover's closing in on Brown. You can see him coming towards us now, Phil Glover. Brown's got 3 attempts on the board. Barry's in behind that. He's got G closing in, so a couple of pockets of battles here as well, and ones that could quite easily take shape within the next 9 laps.
So Maxwell's rejoined the circuit. I don't know if he was able to fix the damage that he had, the steering, but we'll have a look on these lap times when hopefully he gets on with it. But he's got a lot of ground to make up, and he's probably just using this as a test session now. I cannot see him getting back into this, but never say never. You know, if you can gain all the time, you can see he's getting the gap down to Martina Ward already. So he was able to get the repairs sorted out in the pits. But he's left himself with far too much work to do. But we'll look to see if... well, it looks like Ward has been in trouble. What's happened to her? She looks like she's had an off
jump back to the pits as Martina Ward. That is turn 8. Oh, ouch. Straight into the wall. So that's put Maxwell automatically up 1 position. Damien G and James Barry with David Beasley's there as well. So these 3 having a mix up and having a great little bit of a ding dong battle once again. So we'll see how they get on and see how this one goes for all of these drivers. Luke would have used his fast repair. They do get 1 fast repair for this race. Phil Glover's dropping off the back of Seth Brown. McHutchison's just gone and done a 1:59.4, while Brown's just done a 1:59.47. So slowly but surely, Mr. McHutchinson is closing down on Graham Brown. Is a bit by bit here. Brown was quicker on lap 1 and lap 2. McHutchinson not much quicker on 3, but still a little bit there to move himself forward.
Yeah, you can just see he's getting the gap down a little bit, you know, sector by sector, and every timing sensor around the circuit. Maxwell is beginning to close in on Win now as well, but he's going to have to hope for more misfortunes, like we've seen with Martina Ward. But there's still some way to go yet in this. There's battles happening all around the field. Seth Brown is ahead of Phil Glover in the battle for 5th place, only by 7 tenths. And there's a battle between G and Beasley for 8th position. Gonzaga's looking to get back in the fight. He's wasted an opportunity of a podium in the first race, and he totally just dropped it by himself into turn number 6 and threw it away there. But now it's payback time now. He's got to get on with it and start recovering what was lost.
Yeah, Colin Wynn going into turn 7. Back end's coming round, manages to hold it. Good job. Gets going again, does Colin. Unfortunately, he's dropped him behind Mr. Gonzaga by about 13.5 seconds. David Beasley, Damien G and James Barry. Barry still behind Seth Brown. Phil Glover by 1.8 seconds, not really making an inroad on that one. Glover's using Brown to his advantage here, I think. and staying away from James Barry with the draft. Barry's got it down to 1.1, but Glover's going to pick up the draft again. That gap's going to extend back out once more, 1.2, 1.3. You can see it going up. Glover's is coming down the other way. 2 tenths now for Glover. G's going to have a go at Barry down into turn 1. Barry's not going to give it up without a fight. Damien G, you've got to send it in deep on that one. But Glover is wrestling with Seth Brown here, and to be fair to Phil Glover, I would use Brown now, Tom. This is where I would use Brown to pull me forward and keep me in front of James Barry.
Yeah, he's got 5 seconds to make up on Paul LeMay if he's going to get onto the rear of him before this race is over. So he cannot really just sit behind Seth Brown all this time. He has to get a move done at some point and pull away from him. And Maxwell's just posted the fastest up of the race so far. That tells you about the pace he is setting. Hopefully, I don't know if you get any points for the fastest lap in the Radicals. But he's just going for fast lap after fast lap, isn't he now, Maxwell, in the hope that he might salvage something from this. But you do get points for finishing. As long as you finish, you do score points. To get a 12th place finish in a feature race, you would collect 19 championship points. So Maxwell may as well keep going and get to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the important things. They do get bonus points as well if they have a clean race here. They get bonus points if they get a 0x. So, you know, they're going to be, some of them will be trying to keep clean as possible. 3 bonus championship points were awarded to any driver who finished the race without incurring any iRacing incidents, having completed at least 75% of race distance. So they've got to complete 75%. Martina Ward, well, it's going to be touch and go whether or not she's going to be able to do that one. Gonzaga's pressurizing G, which is keeping Brown, which is keeping Barry, sorry, away from keeping G away from Barry, who is now closing it up on Glover. So they're coming thick and fast at you here, Phil. LeMay's just done a 1:59.383, fastest lap of the race for Paul LeMay. Brown's there, 2:01. What's Glover's 2:01.35. James Barry, 2 minutes 8:36. So Barry's closing in on Phil Glover, and he's doing it at a rapid rate of knots here. Yeah,
most certainly. And you can see a long queue of cars forming now from Brown in 5th to Beasley in 10th. This is a 6-car queue. What time is Maxwell doing at the moment? We'll see him go over the line. It was a 1:59.3, I think it was, or 59.4 the Insta, 59.4 again. So he's, you can see he's getting the gap down to win in the hope that he'll just bag another couple of points or something from where he is at. But he'll want to get on in this fight, actually. I mean, there's 6 laps to go after this one, and anything can happen involving this lot.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still plenty of time here. We're only halfway through the race. We've just crossed over the 50% mark. Barry's got Glover, Glover's got Brown, Barry's got G, and G's got Gonzaga. It's like a little line of cars at this moment in time. Oh, Glover just made a mistake, goes and loses that place. Is he going to lose one to G? He has. He did all of that hard work to try and stay in the top 5, and now he's unfortunately down in 8th place. Up 4 places, mind you, for Phil Glover. Great job, but probably not a way you wanted to lose that position, Tom.
No, definitely not. And we've seen drivers run wide there, and they just lose momentum before they get to carousel. That's a costly error there for Phil Glover, losing 2 places in a blink of an eye. And you can just see he's trying to make up for that, but he won't do it into that right-hander that they're going through.
No, not at the moment. G has got Glover now alongside, 2 side by side through 13A. Glover sweeps round the outside. Great job into 14. Gonzaga's wrestled past Beasley. Now it's going to be a 4-car train almost. Barry's going to get onto the back of Brown as well. I want to keep an eye on Barry and Brown to see how far Barry can actually get. I don't think he's going to get him before lap 1. Gonzaga's in there. He's got a double draft. Past Damien G goes. Glover still managing to hold on. Gonzaga makes his way through. Does he? Nope. Damien G holds on through turn 1. Now under the Ariane's bridge. Down through into turn 3 we go. Now down the right-hander. Beasley's just come from an absolute nowhere. Taking that position away, but I think he's overshot it. Now Gonzaga's going to be side by side coming down the Marine Sweep we go. Now side by side, nearly argy-bargies. Here he comes for Gonzaga. Right up behind Damien G now. Is he going to hold that position? He's not. He's going to try and defend it. He did try and defend it, Gonzaga, but didn't quite make it through Damien G. Great battle with these three.
Yeah, even though towards the back of the field and giving it a good old dice this slot, and you can see Jim maybe a little bit too deep there into 6, and you can just see going through the next section of 7 and 8 before they get to Carousel. And yeah, so it looks like Martina Ward is not going to come back onto the racetrack, so that's her not scoring points in this. It looks like James Barry has got through on Seth Brown at last. We didn't see the overtake, but we've seen that Barry's moved up the order now, but Brown is not going to give this up by any means, and he may try and get the overtake done into Canada corner.
This is the overtake here. He gets him on the inside of the carousel. Brown kind of almost resigns and lets him go there, but Barry, so maybe he's going to come back at him. Gonzaga and G not too far. They're not mightily far off this pack, you know, these cars. And Barry's probably going to have his work cut out with Seth Brown.
Yeah, and you can see Brown's going to have the benefit of the draft on the pit straight when they come round to it. It looks like Beasley has had an off and he's back in the pits now as well. That's a terrible shame because he's had a spirited race and it's all come undone for him here.
Yeah, unfortunately for David Beasley, jumps straight back to the pit. Seth Brown pulls out. Gonzaga's pulling out in the back round over Damien G. Down into turn 1 for G. Gonzaga's got the inside, G's got the outside, side by side through 1. Down under the Allianz Bridge, down into turn 2. And G has just made contact with Gonzaga. To be honest, I don't know how much room Damien G...
That's Gonzaga's fault, unfortunately. He just turned in too early on G before they got to turn 2. So I have to point the blame in Gonzaga's part there, and he's going to struggle with the handling between now and the end of the race.
Yeah, we'll leave that one to the stewards to deal with, I think, on this time. I don't like getting myself involved because I do normally end up in trouble when I speak on that one. So, you know, J. Parfitt staying out of the steward's room. Been there too many times now. Round, here we go, through turn 8, now through the carousel. Brown is not leaving Barry alone. Barry's still going for it. LeMay is in a little bit of a battle here, closing in on Paul Clark. There they go. Straight through at the moment does Clark. Paul Clark's managing to hold on. He's in 3rd. He's sitting on the podium and he's got 4 laps to go here. These are going to be the longest 4 laps, 8 minutes of anybody's life battling for a podium now. And he's got Paul LeMay coming at him in an absolute rapid rate of knots with the draft.
Yeah, and he should make his way through at some point in the near future. I mean, if LeMay's going to have any chance of winning this race even, then he can't just sit back. He's got to go for it and start pushing on and getting onto the rear of the next car in front and get the benefit of the draft. He won't get through into turn 1, but he may go for it into the Morian sweep. Beasley's rejoined the race as well, by the way, albeit he had to just lift off the throttle and stay out of the way of the leaders.
Yeah, this is what happened to James Beasley. Through Canada corner he goes, through turn 12, and unfortunately dinks the wall for David Beasley, so he's had to jump back. Paul Clark, Paul LeMay, down the Morian sweep we go. And who's going to get it? Clark's gone all the way to the left-hand side. He's going to defend the inside for 5 now. LeMay's going to try and sweep down the outside. Job done. Job's a good one. LeMay's going to try and hold on to the position. Clark almost tried to cut back. Fastest lap from Maxwell, 1:59. Brown's not giving Barry an ounce of room. He's still holding in there as Seth Brown, tucked in right behind him. We're on lap 9. We've got to go to 12, don't forget. Longest for 6 minutes of some of these drivers' lives, especially for Barry, who's got Brown all over him, and Clark, who's got LeMay all over him as well. Both of these drivers, don't forget, Paul LeMay up 5, James Barry up 5, John McHutchison up 5, and Paul Clark up 1. So all of these are gainers in that top 5 sector at the moment, apart from Greg Brown, who's out in front and storming away.
Yeah, well, it's not done and dusted just yet. I mean, unless McHutchison has an absolute mare of it. He's starting battling it out with LeMay and Clark. Barry and Brown are still in the fight of their own. Seth Brown, that is, in 6th position. We'll look to see how that plays out, because James Barry's going to a rather rocky evening so far with the incidents that he's been involved in. And also with Maxwell, he posted another new fast sub of the race, a 1 minute 59.2. He's run about 5 seconds behind Colin Wynn, so he might just get a 9th place finish out of this.
Yeah, he's trying to make his way forward for Maxwell. 5.5 seconds is going to be tough. Gaps opening up now between Paul Clark and Paul LeMay. I think that's going to be LeMay. He's going to wrap up race number 2 in 3rd place. McCutchinson is going to get 2nd. What's going to be here? What's going to happen? Brown and Barry, they've made contact on the opening lap. Barry and Brown there, they had a little bit of a ding-dong, and Barry ended up in the wall. So we'll have to keep an eye on this one to see if this can come about. Let's hope it don't happen again though, Tom, because the last we were on is a double contact between the two people.
Yeah, they want to keep it clean from here on in now until the end. Wynn posted at 2 minute 1, Maxwell 1:59.4, so Maxwell's 1.6 seconds faster than Wynn on that last lap. If he was to go at that particular rate, he may just miss out, but it will eventually get into the draft before the race is over. But this is the battle we are focusing on between James Barry and Seth Brown for 5th place, and Brown is just content for the time being, probably waiting for the last lap to make his move.
Yeah, well, if he can close in, of course. Barry's just opening up. Yo, says Craig Jones in YouTube chat. Yo, how are you, mate? I'll give you a call after this. Hope you are well. Brown now through the carousel, losing a little bit of time, about 7/10. He's back at the moment. Going to try and get the draft if he can. This is the closest battle on the racetrack. We've lost Martina Ward. She's spun coming out of 7 and went straight nosedive into the wall. Maxwell is all the way down in 10th place. He's down 1 from where he started. Don't forget, it was a reverse top 10, and unfortunately for Luke Maxwell there as well, he had his own little bit of a moment and went off the side of the circuit. And at the same time, George Gonzaga went off the side of the circuit with him. So both going on. Brown's closed in again. Brown's got a great little set to run here. He's quicker than Barry in 1, he's quicker than Barry in 3, and he's quicker than Barry in the final sector, in 5, because I forgot there's 6 here. And they're going to go over the line again. Can Brown, do we think, make this position, Tom?
Well, he's got an opportunity to do so. It's where he's going to do it. He's got 2 laps to go, and he's not doing it into turn 1 here. Morian's sweep is where he's possibly thinking, but I don't necessarily like it when drivers bide their time, because it's just a really, really risky business. You just wait until the end to get the overtake completed, because you don't know if you're going to have that opportunity. But you need to sort of outbrake someone, make it difficult for them to gather momentum straight away and start pulling away from them. That's the way to go about getting through on these drivers, and that's what Seth Brown will be thinking right now. He won't do it into turn 5 because he's too far back. Glover and G are in a fight of their own for P7. G is about the same distance behind Glover as Brown is to Barry. So we're not really seeing proper wheel-to-wheel battles going on right this minute. But what I will say is that Paul LeMay posted a new fast sub of the race last time around. He's now just under a second behind John McHutchison.
Yeah, John McCutchinson, the Scotsman, sitting in 2nd place. LeMay in 3rd, 8/10 back at the moment for Paul LeMay, so he can see McCutchinson. There they are on the racetrack together. This will be an interesting one to see their last lap times. And he's, at the moment, LeMay has pulled in from 6, 7, 8, 9 and lap 10. He's got literally about nearly, nearly 1.5 seconds over the last few laps here for Paul LeMay. He's done a stellar job. We're on to the final lap of the race. He's got one more shot. He's using that draft. He's done another fastest lap. 1:59.031 for LeMay. We'll keep an eye on what he can do for the rest of his lap. Round turn 1 we go. Dropping down the hill for 2. He's pulled in a chunk of time, Tom, over the last few laps. Is he going to be able to get him on the final one?
Well, he's in the attacking range here, but he's gliding around through 2, which won't help. But it'll stay within the toe down through Morian's sweep. You can continue to see lap times being posted there by drivers that's going over the line. Maxwell is 2.4 behind Wynn at the moment, not taking enough out of the margin there. Wynn posting a 2 minute 1:04.3. Maxwell's is a 1:59.2, so only a second quicker than what Wynn has posted. Wynn should be able to hold on ahead of Maxwell, bar any errors. I think LeMay is too far back to make a move on Hodgson here, unless he gets the strongest of exits coming out of Carousel, as Glover and G continue to dice it out right at the very end here. Oh, they've come together.
Oh. Did they? Oh, Damien G spun it right in front of Phil Glover. Damien G spun it up right in front of Phil. Phil had nowhere to go. Final lap now. Final run down the kink for Paul LeMay. He's got to close in at Canada Corner if he can. Can he get even remotely close enough here to John McHutchison, Paul LeMay? But I think this is going to be Graham Brown's race. The man has led from start to finish right here. He has done an incredible job. The man in the red machine at the bottom, the admin of the Radical Race Series here. But now it's all about the run to the line. This is going to be, I can tell you now, if LeMay, I think he made a mistake, but it's going to be Graham Brown. He's going to be coming over the line. Graham Brown takes the victory. John McHutchison gets second. Paul LeMay gets third on that one, and that was one little mistake coming out of turn 14 for Paul LeMay. The only reason he didn't quite get that third place.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he would have got through him in all honesty, because the line would have been too close, but he did a super job closing on him, putting Hutchison under enormous pressure. Great race though for Graham Brown, who made up for the melodies of race one to come out on top this time around. Maxwell is not close enough to make a move on Win, so 9th position will have to be for him. He took the benefit of Damien G thanks to G's error, so at least Maxwell's come home in a higher position than he was at the beginning of the final lap.
Just waiting for Gonzaga to come over the line now. I agree, Phil. He's fashionably late as normal. He's always late. So there we go. Gonzaga's going to come over the line and wrap this one up. So great job finishing George in 11th place there. We're going to go and check out the final results of the final race of the evening. Graham Brown is your victor, with John McHutchison in second and Paul LeMay in third. Then we've got Paul Clark in fourth. James Barry finished in fifth in the end. Seth Brown sixth. Phil Glover in seventh. Colin Wynn eighth. And Luke Maxwell in ninth. We're going to wonder if these are going to be drop weeks by the end of this one. Damien G in 10th. Then Gonzaga in 11th. And David Beasley in 12th. And unfortunately, we did not have Martina Ward finishing off this evening's race. I think we're going to go in a completely different order this week. We're going to start off with one Mr. Paul LeMay, who we're going to pull in to the booth here and welcome him in very, very shortly. Paul, welcome into the booth, buddy. Third place, mate. How are you?
Knackered. Absolutely knackered, mate. The sweat's pouring off me.
Oh,
But
mate. Nice. I feel your pain there, dude. I'm sat in a sweaty office. It's blinking dreadful. But listen, you got 2 third places this evening. You happy?
Yeah. Yes and no. I am, but my starts are just awful. And then I've just got to drive flat out in the feature race. And my hands are about to fall off. But yeah, my shocking starts. As you know, James, you always comment on them, how bad they are. So I've got some work to do.
No, well, listen, dude. At least, you might say about that, right? But at least you got off the start, unlike Sebring. So, you know.
You swine. You had to mention it, didn't you?
I did, mate. But listen, you were closing in on John right at the end. If you had a bit of run out of 14 at the end of the final lap there, mate, it would have been a close run down to the line.
Yeah, it would have been fairly close, but John's always got that little bit extra. You know, that's John. He's so tough to beat. You know, so I'm happy. You know, to be able to close the gap a bit. I don't think John was particularly happy with his settings, but yeah, it was great fun. Really enjoyed it. It's great to see Graham Brown get the win.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely. And on John and his settings, well, that sounds like a John issue. To be honest with you, Paul, as well. Well done, mate. Well, congratulations on your 2 third places, buddy. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, Mr. Clark, because he made that really, really hard. I had to give it everything, every lap to catch him. I really did. So it was a great drive from him.
I love the way you say that, but you're surprised about it. He ain't called Paul Super White Clark for no reason in the Discord, is he?
he had some pace. He really did, and I had to maximise every corner to catch him. So shout out to him. He was really on it.
Well, if you got a better start there, Paul, you might have not had to worry. But never mind.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, mate. Take care.
See you soon. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Right, next up on the final, not the final, the second interview of this evening is our wee William Wallace of the SR10s, Mr. John McCutcheon. John, welcome in, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, James. How you doing?
Mate, I'm very well, bud. I'm very well.
Good.
Listen, fashionably late for qualifying again and gave yourself all the work to do in race one.
I was watching TV and I put YouTube on. I was going to watch the race on YouTube and I seen it was Road America. I thought, let's go. One of my favourite tracks, so I thought I'll give it a go.
So you practiced well for this evening then?
5 minutes probably. A lap and a bit.
Fashionably late, fashionably practicing well as well. But listen, you got something out of it. Second out of race 2, that ain't bad, right? And you were up 5 places.
That's all right. And I got off the line without killing anyone in the feature race, so it's a bonus in this car.
Yeah.
My setup was terrible. Understeer was horrible.
Did you get the setup, or did somebody else give it to you?
No, it was one I must have made a while back. I just stuck it in when I got in the car, and it was hopeless. But the boys in front and behind had great pace. Paul and me was flying round there.
Yeah, I reckon if you had a better exit out of 14, mate, that would have been a very close run down to the line.
He had me covered. He knew what he was doing.
I reckon, I'll tell you what, you would have been hanging on for another lap, mate. I can tell you that much, because he was flying. He pulled like nearly 2 seconds out of you over 5 laps.
Yeah, Paul. Oh, I thought you were talking about on Graham. No, Paul was flying. Another lap, he would have beat me. Yes.
Yeah, Graham did a great job off the line. Job done. See you later. But that was helped by Colin Wynne, of course, jumping into the pit lane. So, but there you go. Listen, it's been a very up and down season for you, isn't it? You know what I mean? You haven't made all the runs. You've been a bit sort of AWOL at times, John. You know, you're just competing for kicks now, or do you set yourselves on like a sight of top 5, beating the tractor man himself, Mr. Mike Bousson?
I'll beat Mike. He's easy. How many John Deere tractors? No, I've just fell out in love with the car. I'm not enjoying the car anymore, so it'll be limited running.
Oh, all right, mate. Well, there we go. No problem, buddy. Thanks so much for joining us. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
A shout out to Tractor Boy himself.
Where is he this evening? Where is he anyway? Is he just sat home doing nothing?
You ploughing your fields. It's that time of year.
Ploughing out his sweet corn, bless him. For oh, mate. Catch up with you soon, John.
Hey, James.
Take
Cheers,
care,
pal.
mate.
Bye.
Right, and before I do Graham, I'm going to have a chat with Phil Glover, who I've just interrupted mid-conversation, of course, there. Phil finished 7th in race number 2, 12th in race number 1. Could have got further up, made one little mistake. There did Phil, and he ended up down in 7th. But he's got to be happy. You're inside the top 10, Phil.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. Wasn't too shabby, was it, in the end?
No.
I try not to disappoint you on this track.
No, I love you on this race circuit. You know, I think if you'd have got that top 10 pole, I would have been absolutely ecstatic. I can tell you that much as well, Phil. I think it would have been great watching you out in front there as well. But how was it out there for race number 2 then?
Yeah, so off the line I wasn't that quick, not as quick as the first race, but I did pick up a couple of places or so, didn't I? I think maybe lap 1 or lap, in the first couple of laps. So that was quite good, and I don't think it was necessarily because people fell off. I have to watch again. It becomes all a bit of a blur because obviously I've got my eyes closed most of the time. It would be ridiculous to have them open, wouldn't it? Pretty scary. So I was. So Simon's away, so I've had to do my own setup. So I thought I could either go really safe, or I thought, no, I'm going to... So I knocked quite a lot off the wing and didn't run any dive planes on the front. And I was definitely quick in a straight line, especially down from the corner, that run down into Canada. I think I was probably quicker than anybody down down that bit. But
Yeah.
it's then getting close enough to be able to do something with that speed when you get to the corner.
Well, you did very well, Phil. Anyway, listen, you finished in the top 7. So a great job from you there, buddy. Look forward to seeing you next week, of course. Do you know where we are?
No.
You never know where we are.
You're
I don't know why. We're at Phillip Island in Australia.
Blimey, we've not done that for a long time, have we?
No, but it should be a good one.
It should be a good one, yeah. I better do a little bit of practice for that one, I think.
Well, John McGutchison did about 5 minutes before he came into tonight, mate, so
Yeah.
I won't worry too much, but, you know.
From another planet, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very, very quick. Phil, thank you so much for talking to us again for the second time this evening. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to Simon. I hope he's enjoying himself in Edinburgh. It's at the Fringe. I don't know whether he's guesting or whether he's just watching.
Okay, well, we'll find out from him next week. But Phil, thanks so much for joining us there, buddy. Great job as always, and look forward to seeing you next week at Phillip Island.
You will.
All right, man.
My namesake. Cheers, then.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye. Bruce on his A-bailing, and then Mike's come in and said he's got man flu. Oh, bless you. Get some tissue. Right, and next up is the man that took 10th in race 1. He then decides he's going to go and have pole because there's a top 10 reverse. He had no competition getting off the line. He absolutely Verstappened it and led from green to checkered all the way through. One Mr. Graham Brown. How happy is he when we bring him into the booth? Well, we can ask him. He's sat here alongside me. Graham, welcome in, bud.
Cheers, buddy. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, super happy with that. Yeah, just got really lucky from the start, and then as soon as I saw people batting behind, I thought, right, just don't make a mistake, and then sort of like eked out a bit of a lead, and then it kind of like stabilised when everyone found their positions. I saw John behind me, and I thought, yeah, he's just going to keep creeping up at me, so I was like, consigned he was going to catch me, and then just like kept it pegged about 2.5, and thought, oh, bloody hell, this is on. Yeah, so then just literally just managed the fuel because I kind of like put it right on the limit today, expecting to be in draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last lap just backed off a bit because I'm prone to a few mistakes on the last lap. So yeah, keep it easy.
No, surely you're not, Graham. Surely not. But then, listen, you know, you've come out and you've shown that here you are blistering quick because John wasn't really. He made some inroads in you, but he didn't make an inroad enough for you to sit there and worry. You know, you both did a 1:59.47, so it's probably a 1:59.6 something or rather around that area. So you were on the pace all the way through the race.
Yeah, I think it was just a race of mistakes, really. Who made the fewer mistakes? So I know I made a couple, and I saw John made a couple here and there, but yeah, it's pretty bang on from both of us. So yeah, super pleased with that.
Yeah, great job from you, dear sir. I look forward to it. Are we going to see the Graham Brown at Phillip Island?
Is that next week?
That's next week.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to make next week, unfortunately. I'd like to, because that's a great track. But I'm going to be away with work, unfortunately.
Oh, sad times. You can't even come out and try and defend your race win, Mr. Brown. But a great job.
Yeah, I need to make back-to-backs.
Yeah, it'd been a great season, back-to-back wins, wasn't it? But it's been good all the way through this season as well. Is there anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, dear sir?
I'm going to give Phil Glover a shout because I had a great little battle with him at the end of race 1.
Yeah, you stole his pole position.
Yeah, I felt a bit bad, but I kind of needed to.
Oh, yeah, fair point. But I would have loved to have seen Phil on pole and see how long he lasted. But there we go.
Yeah, to be fair, I should let him have it just to see your reaction on the broadcast.
Oh, mate, I don't even think that I would have been absolutely ecstatic. But there we go. Graham, thank you so much for joining us there,
Cheers,
buddy.
gents.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Yeah, take care. See you later.
Well, there you go, Tom. I think we have 4 very happy gentlemen here tonight. John jumping in with 5 minutes of practice just because it's Road America and he loved the circuit, you know. Graham taking checkered, Paul winning, Phil being happy. They were all had a great night of racing here.
Yeah, they seemed all very chuffed, didn't they? I'm sure they won't have been too pleased with the result of it. I mean, there was 1 or 2 that felt like they could have done better but didn't. But they gave it a good go. And I expect to see more of that at Phillip Island. It's a shame that Graham can't be around for Phillip Island next week, but I'm sure we'll see him back in the near future. And of course, there's the dropped scores rule as well. Don't forget. So I don't know where they are with dropped scores so far this season, but when the results add up at the end of the season, I'm sure everything will sort of be balanced out.
Yeah, well, at the moment, obviously, within iRacing, they do apply the free drop scores straight at the beginning in the league as well. So currently, Edwards is out in front of 303 with Barry 301. But obviously, we'll see how that works out. But that's going to bring it to the end there. It's hard to get excited for 10 when I'm not ill. Mike, you're not doing yourself any favours here, mate. You're giving us people down in Somerset a bad name. Crying off with man flu when your hands and feet still work. I agree, Colin Wynn, as well. So there we go. But it's going to wrap it up this evening. Thank you so much to everybody that's joined us. It's been a pleasure to be in the booth with Tom Cairns once again. Don't forget, catch us later on when we've got the triple bypass, 115 laps of Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Xfinity cars. GT4s tomorrow, and then we got the CMS World Sports Cars 1964 at Coppadiena on Saturday. Then we got the OGRL Coffee Cup Round 4 at Zandvoort, GT3s, Tanzo GR86s, and IGP Super Formula Lights for their round 9 as well. So a lot still coming up over this weekend. I've been James Parfitt. I've been in the booth with Tom Cairns. And as always, guys, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.